Welcome to the Shifting Inward podcast, where we explore the mindset blocks that keep entrepreneurs stuck. Your mind is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions drive your success. When you shift what's happening internally, everything externally starts to move. Hi, I'm Joe Risk, and in this episode, we're discussing self-sabotage, the pattern where you get in your own way, often without even realizing it. Let's get into it. So what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is when you unconsciously undermine your own success. It's the pattern of getting close to a breakthrough and then doing something that derails your progress. Missing a deadline, picking a fight, overcomplicating something simple, or just quitting right before it starts to work. And here's the tricky part. You don't usually see it happening in the moment. You just feel stuck. You tell yourself you're tired, you're busy, you're not ready. But underneath, there's something else going on. Your subconscious is hitting the brakes because success feels unsafe. Self-sabotage isn't laziness. It's not a character flaw. It's a protective mechanism. Your brain is trying to keep you safe from something, whether that be failure, visibility, responsibility, or change. And the easiest way to stay safe, stop yourself before you fully get there. Your subconscious keeps you at arm's length from the very thing that you say you want. If you stop before you reach the finish line, you never have to deal with what comes next. You stay in that safer middle ground where nothing's at stake yet. The problem is, self-sabotage doesn't feel like sabotage at all. It just feels like circumstances, or bad timing, or that life just got in the way. But when it keeps happening, when you notice a pattern of stopping yourself right before momentum builds, that's when you know something deeper is at play. So how does self-sabotage usually show up in your business? Maybe you're about to launch something and suddenly you get sick, or something urgent comes up, or you decide the offer needs to be completely reworked. The launch gets delayed again. Maybe you land a big client or opportunity, and then you delay responding to their emails. You procrastinate on the work, or you second guess whether you're the right fit. You create distance right when things are moving forward. Maybe you're building momentum, posting consistently, seeing engagement, getting inquiries, and then you just stop. You disappear for weeks. You tell yourself you needed a break, but really, the visibility was starting to feel uncomfortable. Or maybe you pick fights with people who are supporting you, a spouse, a business partner, a mentor, or a collaborator. Right when things are going well, you create conflict. You push people away, you isolate yourself. And here's a sneaky one. You get distracted by shiny objects, a new strategy, a new platform, a new idea. Right when your current approach is starting to work, you abandon it and start over. You tell yourself you're being strategic, but really, you're avoiding the discomfort of following through. The pattern is always the same. You get close to success, and then something happens that pulls you back. And if it keeps happening, it's not bad luck. It's self-sabotage. So where does this come from? Self-sabotage usually stems from a deep-seated belief that success isn't safe. Maybe you grew up watching someone work hard and still struggle. Maybe you saw success come with a cost, burnout, broken relationships, loss of freedom. So part of you learned that achieving your goals might mean losing something else. Or maybe you failed before, publicly, painfully, and your subconscious decided it's safer to stay small than risk that kind of hurt again. So now when you get close to a breakthrough, your brain hits the panic button and finds a way to pull you back. For some people, self-sabotage is tied to identity. You've spent years seeing yourself a certain way, the underdog, the struggling entrepreneur, the person who works hard but never quite makes it. And when success starts to become real, it challenges that identity. Who are you if you're not struggling anymore? What if people expect more from you? What if you can't handle it? So you sabotage to stay in the identity that feels familiar. And here's the thing. Self-sabotage isn't a conscious choice. You're not sitting there thinking, I'm going to ruin this for myself. It happens below the surface. It shows up as procrastination, distraction, conflict, or avoidance. And because it's unconscious, it's hard to catch until you start noticing the pattern. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when change becomes possible. So let's reframe this. Self-sabotage isn't proof that you don't want success. It's proof that part of you is scared of what success will require. And that's actually a normal human response. Change is uncomfortable, even when it's change we've been working toward. The shift starts with awareness. When you notice yourself pulling back, procrastinating, or creating obstacles right when things are moving forward, pause. Ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of? Are you afraid of being seen, of being judged, of not being able to handle what comes next? Are you afraid of outgrowing your current identity, of disappointing people, of losing control? Name the fear, because once you name it, it loses some of its power, and you can start addressing the real issue instead of just reacting to the surface behavior. Here's another shift. Self-sabotage is trying to protect you, but it's protecting you from the wrong thing. It's protecting you from discomfort, from uncertainty, from vulnerability. But those are the exact things you need to move through to build something meaningful. You don't need protection from growth. You need support through it. And here's the truth. You can handle more than you think. The version of you that's self-sabotaging doesn't believe that yet. But the version of you on the other side of this breakthrough, that version knows you're capable. You just have to trust yourself enough to take the next step anyway. So how do you actually stop sabotaging yourself? First, notice the pattern. Start paying attention to when you pull back, when you create obstacles, or when you stop showing up. What was happening right before? Were you building momentum, getting visible, approaching a milestone? The more you notice the pattern, the easier it becomes to catch yourself before you derail. Second, name the fear. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, distract yourself, or quit, pause and ask, what am I actually afraid of? Write it down. Say it out loud. When you bring the fear into the light, it becomes something you can work with instead of something that controls you from the shadows. Third, take the next smallest step anyway. Self-sabotage wants you to stop completely. So instead of stopping, just take one small action. Send the email, publish the post, record the video, or schedule the meeting. You don't have to do everything, just do the next thing. Momentum breaks the sabotage cycle. Fourth, get support. Talk to someone who can see and help the pattern when you can't. A coach, a mentor, or even a trusted friend. Sometimes you need an outside perspective to point out what you're doing, and having someone hold you accountable makes it harder to quietly sabotage yourself. And finally, practice self-compassion. You're not self-sabotaging because you're broken or weak. You're doing it because you're human, and change can be scary. Be patient with yourself. Recognize the pattern, interrupt it when you can, and keep moving forward anyway. Self-sabotage doesn't have to run your business. You can break the cycle. You just have to see it first. If this resonated, drop a comment about your story. Have you experienced self-sabotage in your business? What patterns have you noticed? I'd love to hear about it, and I invite you to join our free school community to connect with other entrepreneurs who are breaking through mindset blocks and supporting and celebrating each other's growth. The link is in the description. I'm Joe, and I help entrepreneurs shift inward so they can move forward. See you next time.